Hello and welcome to another podcast, the Why Me podcast with Tarray Deaver. I am so excited that you are here continuing the journey of you. As a matter of fact, thank you for allowing me to be a part of your journey. I pray that this journey has been informational, inspirational, and intentional in helping you to not only define who you are, but give you the strength to defend who you are and the motivation to develop who you are. I think it is so important that we take the time to really understand our identity. Every decision that we make, every relationship that we get involved in, it is going to be based on how we see ourselves. This podcast is entitled Identity Traps. Now, I'm going to start off with just giving you the list of the top 4 identity traps. This is not an exhaustive list, but I believe this list are 4 traps that are common to every one of us. And we've got to be very careful not to fall into these traps because these traps will limit us in the pursuit of who we're meant to be. Trap number 1 is the trap of family. Number 2, the trap of a moment. Number 3, the trap of comparison. And number 4, the trap of expectations. Are you ready? Let's get started. Integrity is characterized by the consistency of who you are in every place and at all times. It should be the goal of every single one of us to be integral. Integrity is the irreducible you. It is your fallback position, your comfort zone. It is the who you really are when you're under pressure, when you're feeling stressed, when you're at your limit, when you have a lot and when you have little, when it seems like everything is going well and when it seems like you just can't get it together. It is integrity that helps us to be consistent through it all. Integrity is so invaluable in helping us to present ourselves to the world. Who do we want to be? How do we want people to receive us, our reputation in society? Integrity also teaches people what to expect from us. Have you ever met someone that you didn't know what to expect from them from moment to moment? The actual idea of someone being called crazy or psycho is really just a matter of their inconsistent behavior. But integrity is so necessary because we're all going to have good days and bad days. We're all going to have days where we feel like we can run 100 miles an hour and other days where we feel like we get to pull ourselves out of bed. But it is the goal of integrity that is a principle that will help us to be intentional and will help us to keep going regardless of how we feel. Integrity is motivated by and is governed by principles, not our feelings, not our emotions. Our feelings and our emotions may be all over the place, and they're valid, but they do not deserve the right to be the leader of our lives. Integrity is so key in helping us to avoid these identity traps. So let's get started with trap number 1, family. You are not doomed to repeat the failures of your family. Now, that's great news for some of us. If you think about your family heritage, your parents, your cousins, your siblings maybe, there may be people in your family that you may even be ashamed of, that you may not even want to talk about because of some of the bad decisions. Maybe some of you are living your life in fear of repeating some of the mistakes of your parents. I want to let you know that just because you carry the same DNA does not mean that you are doomed to repeat their failures. Now, there's 2 sides to this coin. Because some of you can say, I have parents that are successful. I have cousins, siblings that are killing it. they're business owners, they're star athletes, they're entrepreneurs. Just because you carry the same DNA does not mean that you're automatically guaranteed to repeat their successes as well. Your family is your family. You're connected to them. You have the ability to learn from them, whether good or bad, but you are not preconditioned to repeat the same cycles of failure or success. Your family may even give you a head start in the direction of their proclivities, but it does not rob you of the power you have to choose your identity. Let me say that another way. That just because you may have an alcoholic father, or just because you may have a mother that made bad financial decisions, they may have taught you, and they, by their example, bad decisions, bad lifestyle choices, but it does not rob you of the power that you have to choose if you're going to follow in their footsteps. It doesn't mean that you don't love them. It doesn't mean that you don't have to honor them. It just means that as much as we're family and I love you and I appreciate you, I pray for you, but I am making the choice to make a different life for myself. I am making the choice to be someone different. Now, this is true for your neighborhood, school, culture, or ethnicity. Do not allow anyone to tell you that the way you speak makes you sound black, or makes you sound white, or makes you sound this or that, because language is not defined by a culture. Now, there may be certain ways that, depending on where you're from and your culture, that you speak. But in terms of speaking properly, that is not necessarily the heritage of a particular culture. We have the right to choose who we want to be and our uniqueness, whether you speak Ebonics or whether you speak the Queen's English. It does not matter. It matters that you are pursuing who you choose to be and that you own that. And do not allow anyone to say what you should or should not be based on the neighborhood you were brought up in. How you should or should not act based on the schools you attended. Where you can go, where you cannot go. How high your ceiling is or not based on your culture, your neighborhood. You have the right to choose your identity. And not just your present identity, but more importantly, the future version of you. Trap number 2 is the trap of a moment. There's a statement that says you only have one time to make a first impression. Now, I get it, but I want to challenge that because this becomes a trap to tell you that you have to present yourself to a person a certain way and that there's no room for do-overs. And that the way that you present yourself or the way that someone else may present themselves creates the assumption that this is who a person is. Or if you make a bad first impression, that the assumption is, or the conclusion of the matter is that's who you are. We all have moments. We all have our faux pas. We all put our foot in our mouth from time to time. We all make huge mistakes in life. That does not define your existence. And I want to challenge you that if you have made a horrible first impression, that you own it and you go back and make a terrific, a dynamic second impression. Do not allow the mistakes of your past to rob you of future opportunities, but learn from it. A moment in time is never going to have the power to define your entire life unless you give it to it. I want to challenge you to make sure that you do not take one moment to define another person or let one moment define you. Life is full of moments. Today is full of moments. How many times have you had a bad moment at the beginning of your day and you allowed that one moment to wreck the rest of your day? Do not throw away a day, a week, a month, a year simply because of a bad moment. But the reality is, as bad as that moment may have been, you have an opportunity to recover, because guess what? Another moment is here. Another moment is coming. In sports, they tell you that you must have a very short memory. Some of the best players, some of the best athletes in the NBA and the NFL make huge mistakes. But one thing that they realize and one thing that they have mastered is not allowing the mistake of the last play stop them from executing the next play. So regardless if you are listening to me and you are a young entrepreneur, you maybe are starting a new relationship with someone and you made a huge blunder, you know what? Own it, but move on from it. Learn from it, and then challenge yourself to be better the next moment. Don't allow that moment to define the rest of your day, week, or your life. Trap number 3 is the trap of comparison. It is natural to define and evaluate who we are by what we see around us. We all have preferences. We all are judging things and people all the time. Something that's great, something that's not so great. And we have aspirations, things that we want to do, things that we see other people doing that we would like to do. Even things that we see that we want to avoid, or we want to make sure that we don't fall into the same pattern as other people. And although acknowledgement and recognition of those things is necessary, even setting goals according to them is necessary, be very careful not to fall into the trap of comparison. This is a huge trap because we were never created to be the imitator of another person. This trap attempts to divert your focus from you to someone or something else. And what happens is when you begin to compare yourself to another person by saying, I did the same thing as them, but they did it better. Or you may have found yourself wearing a similar outfit, but they wore it better. Then if you're not careful, that comparison will lead you down the slippery slope of creating a value statement that would suggest because you did it less than them, because you may not have looked as well as they looked in that outfit, that means that you're less valuable. Do not fall into the trap of comparison. If you find yourself starting a business, and as soon as you start this business or you have this idea, you find that there's 10 other people that are doing the exact same idea. They may have been doing this for 10 years and they're killing it. And you might ask yourself, is there a market for me? My answer to you is yes. Why? Because as much as they are seeing success, they're not going to do it like you. They're not going to say it like you. They will not have the reach or the perspective that you have because you are unique. So do it your way. Say it your way. And do not allow your comparison to other people stop you or limit you from doing it the very best that you can do. Whether you find yourself comparing yourself to people that are doing it better than you, or if you find yourself comparing yourself to people that may be doing it, but they're less than you. Maybe you find yourself wearing the same outfit as someone, but you determine that you look better than them. It's a danger to still compare yourself to them because that will cause you to become complacent. Complacency will rob you of the excellency that exists in you. Because when you become complacent, you will stop pushing. You will not be hungry anymore, which means you'll stop learning. You'll stop growing. You will not continue to strive and to grind as you need to, which means you're going to continue to lose ground. Trap number 4, expectations. People have a right to their own opinions and corresponding expectations of you. Can I say that again? People have a right to their own expectations, their own opinions of who you are. And guess what? That's none of your business. Now, I know that I started off by talking about integrity causes you to teach people what they should expect of you, but their expectations are still their choice, not yours. You can do everything in your power to do it right, to say it the right way, to show up consistently, but people have their own right to view you through the lens of their own experiences, through the lens of their own past, through the lens of how they view themselves, through the lens of their own trauma. So if you resemble, sound like, act like someone that they may have seen in their past, they may put the expectation of someone not named you on you because of association. That has nothing to do with you. Danger, Will Robinson, that's a trap. Here's the thing. Who they want you to be and who they think you should be is their issue and not yours. You are not responsible for the opinions, the thoughts, and the expectations of others. This is a trap that will cause you to deny yourself in pursuit of pleasing others. When you ascribe and give validity to the expectations of others above and beyond what you expect of yourself, then you will find yourself kowtowing to what other people want you to do to please them, and it's going to frustrate you because that's not who you were meant to be. Their opinions of you are their opinions. If they agree with you, then great. If they disagree with you, then great. Because guess what? You do not have the time in the pursuit and development of who you are to manage the thoughts, opinions, the likes, the loves, the comments, the shares, the expectations of other people online, offline, in a relationship or out of a relationship. It's not your business. I need you to realize integrity matters. Integrity will cause you to divert your attention when these traps come to keep your focus on who you choose to be. Integrity will keep you from being detoured on the expectations and the road of pleasing other people and the pathways of trying to escape from or redo or relive the lives of your families, or to escape from a bad or even a successful moment. Make sure that you are clear in the definition of you. Because the only one that you have to defend your identity to is yourself. In the development of you is your responsibility and should be your focus. Our declaration for today, to really sum all this up, and as I was going through this lesson, I thought about a number of things that you could declare to yourself. You're not responsible for other people's expectations. It's your responsibility to define yourself. Integrity being characterized as the consistency of who you are in every place and at all times. But I think that the declaration I have today kind of helps to summarize it, and it's simply this. I am what I am by the grace of God. That comes from 1 Corinthians chapter 15 and verse 10. I am what I am by the grace of God. Now, this statement challenges us because the grace of God is such a force that it gives us the permission, because of our relationship to Him, because we're created by Him, to be who He wants us to be and not fall prisoner to our past, not fall prisoner to play the role of who people want us to be. We do not have to be anything but what His grace has made us to be. Because anything that we will accomplish, anything that we will be, anything that we will possess in this life, it will be more so because of His grace than our grind. Now, our grind is our corresponding acts of faith because of His grace, but it is His grace that gives us the support, the blessing for us to have the very things that we're working for and to be the person that we were always meant to be. Our word of the day is meritocracy. Meritocracy. A meritocracy is a system in which a person's progress is based on ability and talent rather than class, privilege, and wealth. The university gave John the scholarship based on meritocracy and not based on his family's reputation. I built my business and became successful based on meritocracy and not because of who I know or who I am or the way that I speak or the way that I comb my hair or the neighborhood I was brought up in or the degrees that I have. No, it is a meritocracy. It is the system of progress based on ability and talent. What are you working on? What talents are you developing? What abilities are you mastering to become the best version of who you are? That's what's going to secure your longevity. Listen, this is my time. I hope this empowered you today. If it did, I have one favor for you. Share this podcast. I'm trying to get my listeners up. You know this is brand new. This is only episode 7. But I believe that if this encouraged you, that this will also encourage someone else. So I want to challenge you that if this encouraged you, don't be selfish, but share this with someone else. And if you were really inspired by it, then do me a favor. Let me know in the comments which identity trap impacted you the most. Which identity trap do you feel like you have to really focus on to overcome, or that you are going to work on to make sure that you don't fall in it, but that you escape victorious from it? This is Tarray with the My Me podcast. I want to encourage you to follow me on Instagram. Make sure that you're downloading, and I want to encourage you to come and continue to join me, or should I say allow me to continue to join you on the journey of you. Take care. I'll see you next time.